Hello.
Are you hungry?
Yes.
Oh,
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you too.
Look, no.
I've been here for over a year, coming to different classes. Always the yoga.
Well,
Haven't
you
come to
know,
one of your
like
classes.
you have come to one.
I don't know. No,
I don't
haven't
think.
come to the
Yeah.
Buddhist
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
think I've come to your yoga. I've been going on a Saturday.
Okay. Wonderful.
Looking
Yeah.
forward
Yeah.
to your Buddhist.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. It's I don't know. A few people signed up, but that's great that you're here early because I can actually show you the binder.
Okay. Excellent.
Because we are in class 6 today.
I know.
So
right?
no.
I learned about it.
Yeah, yeah.
This week.
No. Don't feel bad. There is it's 10 series. Alice?
Hi, I'm here for the Buddhist.
Yes. Is it Alice?
No, I'm Tina.
Tina, nice meeting you. Tina Gordon. There might be a few more and a few maybe online. Is it okay if you just take off your shoes just beyond that line there? But
I'm registered, but it didn't
didn't
log me in, so I'm here as anonymous. But I've got a 10 pass membership at the moment.
Yeah.
Just
No.
so you know, in case you wanted to.
No. It's great because actually on the ad and the newsletter, it sends it to my email.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so someone did, but I don't know whether maybe it didn't work.
Oh, I see.
But in the past, because it's a donation class, we didn't link it to something that you had to sign up for because it's by donation. But
So how we do the donations. I don't
yeah.
bring cash.
No, you don't have to do it now. I
Okay.
mean, take this class. If you hopefully you'll come back for another one, you can wait till the end of the series.
Okay.
Or if you're like, okay, one class was enough, then you can send it to info@opendoor.
Okay.
But it's great because there's a few people who signed up in the beginning and haven't been able to make it.
Okay.
So there are a few binders. So flip a little bit through just to kind of take a
Okay,
peek.
this is while we're in the class.
Yeah.
Okay.
We will.
Thank you.
There's some readings. I'll kind of
excellent.
explain a little bit, but have a seat, grab whatever you would like. I'm going to. Yeah, no, even grab a chair if you prefer.
Oh, I'm happy to sit, but I think I'll get the thicker.
Yes, make yourself a. Yeah.
And I wanted to say, I think the thing I read on your site said that there'll be a bit of yoga. So I have a bit of an injury on my leg, so I'll just assess.
Yeah, I actually had planned. I thought it will. I've noticed this was my first go round, and actually there's more material. We started with a little breathing exercise, and that's about all I did.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If somehow we have no questions, we go through the material, and sometimes in the break, that my ideal plan was we'll do a little bit just so that we don't feel like we're sitting for an hour and 15 minutes. So don't worry. But thank you for letting me know. Yeah, that's what you should keep letting teachers know if you go to class. We always say just let them know where it is, and we can offer modifications. And yeah, but today, if anything, it'll just be a little warm up. Hello, how are you? You got yours? Sounds great. Sorry I didn't reply, because I was almost last night I got in late, and then it's usually my off email day, and I didn't see anything on Thursday, and I was thinking, yeah, I said, well, I just said ask, and if like you and Kim and a few others had said 10:30, I still wouldn't change it this week because I knew I was advertising it as 3 o'clock, and some people will just come in. So I think I'm gonna keep it to 3. I know earlier in the day sometimes it's easier for some people. Okay. Well, Tina, thank you so much for coming. I was almost. What is your last name?
Chow.
Chow.
I just registered, 30 minutes ago.
Oh, Gordon was telling me he sent something by email and then, but because this class is by donation, we don't really link it to some thing where you pay or register. I kind of usually put it to my name directly.
Oh,
And then I think I checked more than half an hour ago, and then there was someone else who was coming. I said, yeah, come on. And so that's why I said Alice, because she had said, I'd like to come, but I'm hoping I replied to her in time. She replied to me Friday night.
well, I'm really happy to be here. I'm disappointed I missed the first two.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're in class 6 right now.
Oh, is it class six?
Yeah, no, not to worry, not to worry. I've recorded them,
Oh,
and hey, Kim. So I will send you like the recordings if
Okay,
you're interested
yeah.
in. This is the binder which has all the material, so you can slowly. So I will describe maybe, yeah, if we have a few minutes before it starts, I'll describe, but flip through it a little bit. It's obviously your first time here, right?
yes.
So there's one washroom here, another washroom
Oh.
here. There are a lot of yoga props if you want to make it more comfortable to sit instead of the floor. There's even chairs if you want, because most of the class will be sitting. It's great you brought a mat, but I was telling Gordon, there's a lot of material, so usually we haven't been able to, yeah, so grab whatever you like. If you need some water, there's some little paper cups here. Okay, we'll flip through. Let me put away the. Thank you so much, Kim, for sending in.
Oh, you're welcome.
I was like,
It's a lot of
somebody.
energy. put into this.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's, it's pleasure, and yeah, that you, Amber, have been coming to your classes. Like, yeah, I want to, and now we have some more coming.
That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have my quiz things to hand.
Wonderful. Yes, I figure you have a few. We will exchange it. I'll give you back your first homework, and then you can give me what you have.
Okay.
See if Alice made it online. Okay. You got to find it. Alice will come in. Thank you, Kim. Maybe I will have you. I remember I made quite a few when I started, and I always score pretty high. And she'd be like, "Oh no, this is to encourage you to continue."
Yeah.
Though funny enough, the actual mark when I finished all the courses and I had to submit for the, I guess, certificate, they actually asked for all the percentages of each class. I had to write it, enter it in a grid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty serious.
yeah.
I hope.
So they do want you to do well, but
Yes.
okay. So that's his grade. All right. Yes, because we're on. And this is what I had been meaning to give you, that for class 5, you needed the extra, like, so that you have an extra page for class 6, because I think now that you handed in 5, it's on the back.
Right, so I've
Yep,
been photocopying, so I'm okay.
You're
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Let me just record this.
Yeah, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, and one of the things that we talked about is it's a concept of community. So organized
Mhm.
so when you do this, and also okay, so the other thing I noticed, sorry, I'm just gonna tell you.
Yeah, please do, please do. That I was.
There's footnotes.
Mhm.
Footnotes actually contain a lot of information. Sometimes the question is there's also something called the students notes, which takes a lot. It's like, what are the students notes?
Yeah.
But sometimes they have information, and they're all kind of, you know, it's kind of like. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, a warm welcome to Gordon and Tina. Welcome back to Amber and Kim, and whoever else will get to watch this online. That you got to flip a little bit through the binder, and as Kim suggested, it's kind of got the different sections. I don't think it has a label on it, but you'll see readings, which are a little more, they have a lot more information, and supposedly you do that after the class. So you could do reading 6 after today's class. And base that usually covers some of what I will share, and some of it, it's a, you know, reading 5, actually, I read it and there was a lot of information. The footnotes were really had a lot of information. Yeah, so some of them are quite different. The first reading is a real nice story from one of the monks who wrote that. So they vary in length and how much information, and so they're really enjoyable to read, even if you don't do the homework. But as Kim mentioned, that they will help with the homework. And supposedly when this was taught by Geshe Michael Roach, I think there was a student who they actually transcribed it. So on the website that I'll send both of you that they have, there is the actual audio. You can hear him teach the class, which I go over to kind of make my notes. And then it's transcribed. So then, you know, you can hear even what the students have interjected and said. But this notes, there's a section which I guess some of it wasn't in the reading. So he created this note section to kind of just maybe help with some of the homework. And then the homework is usually the main points. And after you finish the homework, the next week, you know, out of those 4 questions, and I picked 2, which are going to be ones that they hope that you'll remember over the 10 courses, and then have that for the final exam. But again, the homework and the quizzes are optional. You don't need to, especially the first course. You might want to, well, I just want to see what this is like, you know. But as Gordon, you mentioned, like what you put in, if you wanted to learn it better, putting in a little bit of time will help you. Yeah, will help you with that. And definitely I did it, and I know I probably did the most teachers will say they kind of did the same, kind of like did the bare minimum, kind of like get the answers, get the homework. And we think we know it. And then, now as I'm learning, like, geez, I missed like the really important parts, which are not in the homework. So the way we start class traditionally is 3 prostrations. And my teacher actually asked me, we had the meditation class, and goes, how is it? Because that is something us Westerners are not used to. We're used to prostrate, and I haven't watched a lot of cult movies, but it does. I think we've all heard stories of like, oh, you have to, prostrate to the teacher. And traditionally that was the intention. But when I took the course, the teacher who taught me rephrased it and said, think of it as we're prostrating to each other. We're all teachers for each other. Maybe not in this class, but our family members or friends or teachers for us. If any of you have taught, you realize your students are your teachers. What questions they ask, what they are confused or not sure about helps you. So you are my teachers. So we're prostrating to that, and prostrating even in yoga when they do a sun salutation, it is supposedly a salute to yourself, your inner spirit that brought you here on I won't say it's a beautiful Saturday, but it's a Saturday when you could be doing so many other things that you chose to learn about something not everyone, chooses to learn. So let's start with that. Whatever you choose your teacher to be in mind. And we won't do the full prostration. We'll do, I'll show you the full one, which I told you that Dalai Lama is supposed to do as his exercise, do 108 of these, the same way we do sun salutations. And they go, it's meant to be body, speech, and mind. Then you go onto your knees, and you're supposed to slide onto your belly, and lift your legs and arms, and then you push back up. And that's one full one. But the one that we'll do is, you can do kind of like a little bow, but this one will do connecting your body, speech, and mind. And then come onto your knees and give a little bow if you like, forehead to the floor, or just lower your head. So why don't we do 3 together? All right. Connecting your body, speech, and mind. Maybe have in mind the teacher, include yourself. And putting your head down also has this significance in putting down your pride, opening up, so you're open to learning. Are you guys feeling a little warm? Or yeah, when I came in, I'm going to tell the teacher, he left on off, whereas this week, it was really warm, and then we had it. So I will have I'll turn on the fan, so we'll get a bit more air. I had opened the windows, and I might like you just good test of the. Okay, let me just turn on the fan. Open one window here. One of the things I missed, I remember when I learned this course, we talked about in the first class, is they say, if you did a good action, would it help towards enlightenment? Because I would say one theme, or one big reason why some will continue this path like I did, is that they did want to become enlightened, wanted to become a Buddha. I found this book I'm going to put in the library that Gordon and Tina had mentioned. If you guys go in there after class and you find a book you like to borrow, do so. I had put 2 others, but this one was a nice pictorial biography of Shakyamuni Buddha, and I somehow got it somewhere, and it was a good way to kind of tell his story to my sons. That pictures, and I wouldn't have pushed it if they weren't interested, but they were. And then so, yeah, anyway, I found it and I'll put it there because we don't really go over his history so much. What you find in this course and the other courses is what he said, not even what he said, it would be almost the commentaries on what he said. That he said many things, but he would say it to different people. So he would tailor his teachings to different levels. And what we're studying now is like over time, other teachers have tried to piece what he said in sequence. So that now what we're learning is like, these are the steps to reach enlightenment, Buddhahood. So that is what I want to go. So the next, yes.
Because in the first class, it gives the first reading gives some history.
Yeah.
And one of the pieces of Tibetan Buddhism history is that the Chinese came and destroyed so much of their books.
Yes.
So is that part of the issue that they don't have all of the books that they started with, or is it that they exist?
That oh yes, whether all the books are still there. They definitely destroyed a lot of them. I'm just kind of trying to understand because I will say there were a lot more books written in Sanskrit first, and those were a lot more were burned. They said 8th or 9th century. But then when it went to Tibet and then the Chinese came, they also destroyed it. But luckily, a lot of books got moved to other places. And so part of Geshe Michael Roach, the teacher who kind of created this course, he's gotten monks and people in Tibet translating what's still there, and they're still working on it. So actually, you know, supposedly the Bible has what Jesus said, and there isn't that much, right? Supposedly the New Testament, the things in red, there isn't, but he actually did say a lot. And I don't know, I don't think there's commentaries on all of them, but whether they are all still around, yeah, you're right. I doubt that they're all still physically available. Yeah. But whenever they find one, he would announce, oh, we found one in St. Petersburg in Russia. They would be really excited and start translating it. Yeah. So, okay. Now in the binder, and actually Kim and Amber too, is it the first section before the first tab is the prayers? Is it, Amber? Like, is it before the first? Yours separate, right? Yours might be actually on that piece of paper there. It looks like it, right? Right, yeah, can Amber, you help, whatever. The first one is offering the mandala. Yeah. So, you know, it's in English, but I'll say there will be other courses which will kind of maybe explain a little bit more. But for now, think of this one and the next page on the back of it, refuge and the wish, as setting our intention. So that the benefit of you learning, taking this class, has that intention of helping you towards whether you want to or not. I'll say that it's planting the karma towards your Buddhahood and path of enlightenment. All right. So if you like, you can just read along, or else you can join me as I say it aloud. All right. We'll do it in English. I think next week we'll try the Tibetan. All right. So here is the great earth, filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, the 4 continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. And then this Tibetan word, Idam Guru Ratnam Madalakam Niratayami. I did put it through Google Translate. It doesn't come out exactly. Niratayani, I'm eating. The craving, more gem deepening. And I still wanted to ask another teacher what it means. But supposedly in Tibetan, though they maybe a little bit like Chinese, the meaning, the sentence starts from the right. You know how we're used to the word sentence starting from the left, it starts from the right. So something I don't think it's eating. I think it's probably that's digesting or something like that. Okay, so the next one on the back is refuge and the wish. And this one we do 3 times. All right. So I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. All right. Now, usually start the class with a little review of what the previous class. I wanted to ask Gordon, and did you guys want a pen, make any notes, or would you?
I mean, do you mind if I just make them in?
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah, you can. How about you? I just wanted if you wanted some paper or, yeah, okay, because I'm gonna offer it as a gift, the binder, but it is true, you don't have to. If after the class or later on, you kind of go, no, I don't really want to take it, just leave the binder, I'll give it to someone else. But if you guys want to, then that's your binder and you can write in it. But I just thought maybe for the first class, you may want to just write. I'll give you some paper that you can write on. If you guys find it, yes. Here's my paper. So if you find it enough, yeah. Well, you know, there is a lot of repetition, and just because, you know, they say, you know, we can hear something, and you're right. You probably, if you heard it before, you'll quote unquote, yeah, I heard that, but having you repeat it would be may require you to say, well, maybe don't really know it. There's some paper that you, yeah, maybe don't use that paper, but you use the line paper. So I had, yeah, this morning kind of go, did you get to, Amber or Kim, get to listen to the last class? It's okay if you didn't. Okay, that sounds fine. That sounds fine. Tina and Gordon, you know, usually we'll have some questions at the end. Maybe just kind of bear with, definitely I'll stay at the end of class, or you can talk or email later with quick questions, but there's some material I definitely need to go through, just meant to be for this class. And but just knowing that you guys are new, I'm going to try to see if I can pick something that can help. Yes. Yes, please do. I was going to say, whoever on either side, turn it down, turn it off. I already feel cooler. So, okay. Maybe Amber and Kim can just help me with, like, this first course is about what they call the 3 principal paths. And these 3 paths are the ones that, if you follow, supposedly lead you to enlightenment, to Buddhahood. Right? So this is where the first class we described it a little bit, and now these last few classes, last class and this class, they kind of go into a little more detail. So the first one, do you remember what it is? Renunciation. And this is, and how would you describe it to somebody, if you will? Yeah. Is that what you would say, Amber? Yeah. The current state of, yeah. I mean, one of Buddha's famous sayings is that life is suffering, right? And actually, that is what we will one of the points we'll kind of repeat. I actually shared it earlier, but it's the one that we need to share this class. And if you accept that life is suffering, that this human life is suffering, then, you know, one of the things when I heard it first many years ago, I did think of like, oh, it might mean I have to become a monk. And so actually, I'll say that my resistance, I'd shared with Kim and Amber that my mom was a Buddhist already. She had taken it, and I wasn't really, I don't know, because she did, I had some more resistance to it. But one of them I thought was like, well, I had already really wanted to have a family. I actually did already have kids by the time I started this. So I'm like, I don't know whether this is the path for me, for renunciation to give up everything. But I was open to it because the teacher that taught it, she had 2 kids. And so I was like, well, she's teaching it and she hasn't had to give up her kids or anything. I think it's fine. And the message, maybe I expressed it to her right away, but I know during her classes she would share, renunciation doesn't mean like literally giving away all your money, saying I don't, not enjoying anything in the world. It is seeing the reality of it, and that if you do enjoy it, to recognize that it is from your past actions, that your past karma of maybe helping others with what you enjoy is giving you this feeling of enjoyment of whatever it is. And so that you should celebrate, that maybe you might have this image, I definitely did, of like, well, the middle way is not being too happy or not being too sad. And it is true. It's recognizing when something good or bad happens, you don't have to ride the emotional roller coaster of being really, really happy or really, really sad. But it is still not saying to go and feel nothing. It is to enjoy it, the highs and the lows, but to recognize that it may not be exactly from what you think it is. If it's a relationship, or if it's a possession, or it's your work, service that gives you great pleasure or pain, it is not necessarily that thing that is giving it to you. So,
and one of the things I noticed in the first class, when you described renunciation, like something, the subsequent classes didn't want to practice suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe this is a good time. Yeah. Thank you, Tina. Maybe it would be good to just jump right into what they say it is, because I did go over it already. Does that turn it off, Tina? I think you turned it on, but the other way, it looked like it turned it off. It was just slowing down. Yep. Is that better? Yeah, maybe it was just to move the air. Okay. Well, there were 6, they're suffering, there's supposedly 6 human sufferings that make up this term, life is suffering. Do either of you remember, Amber, Kim, what one of them might be? If you don't worry.
The different emotions, did you mean?
One of the 6 types of, because there is actually, they do say, and Tina and Gordon is to note that, I mean, if you are suffering physically, like, if you have physical injury, pain, we all agree that is suffering, that's not comfortable. If you have emotional pain, which I feel I usually have every day, there's something that annoys me, frustrates me, upsets me. That is, I think you'll agree, mental, just, yeah. So Amber, sorry, what did you want to say? Oh, sorry, maybe I can't hear. Spiritual suffering, yeah. Sometimes, what would be an example of spiritual suffering, you'd say? yeah, you're at a loss of what to believe. Yeah, questioning of what is the purpose of life? What am I? Yeah, that is, I would say, a spiritual type of suffering when you're not sure. You know, people with a strong spiritual, they feel very spiritually fulfilled. You see there's a sense of energy and direction, and maybe when things go tough, they lean to whatever they believe in, their faith, to help them through it, right? So yeah, okay. So those are the definitely obvious sufferings, but do you remember any of the other ones that not those? Very good.
This is my paraphrasing.
Yeah, yeah.
To be conscious of cravings and attachment to goods.
Yeah. Well, that is, you're kind of nice linking in a bit of what was mentioned last class, that they say, you know, if you have attachment to this life, that one of the ways to shift that is to actually think, to realize that you might die. So I will encourage you maybe to listen to that fifth one, last class, because of this exercise, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I say do it and have you write down something and then you can meditate on it. But yes, it is true that death is one of them. But it's also saying that when we die, that you can't bring anything with you. So whether it's your possessions or your relationships, what you've learned, you know, what memories you have, you know, all the places you've been or experienced, you can't take any of that with you. Except karma, yes. Except karma. Your actions, yeah. Your actions. What carries supposedly with you into your next life is the result of all your actions, the good or the bad, you know, so that, yeah, if you have lived have been, you know, things which haven't ripened already, will follow, will go with you in death. Things that you, yeah, that haven't ripened yet will go with you. Mhm. So yeah, definitely that was one of them. That was dying, that you don't take anything with you. You remember any other one, Amber? Yeah, uncertainty of life. Yeah, that things are uncertain. I use this, I think it's not a really great example, but because we all kind of know, yes, weather is uncertain. You don't know what will happen. One day it was super sunny. I don't know whether it was Monday and Tuesday. I went swimming. I almost went down to Kids Beach because I drove my son down and the pool wasn't open. And I'm thinking, oh, so beautiful. I will just hang out. I will just get the sun to dry up my bathing suit. At night, whoosh. Yeah, yeah. You know, you wouldn't guess. It was just so clear that night. But that is what they say. I use that example, and you might go, yeah, everyone knows weather is uncertain, but there is more truth that you can, you know, you all taken a yoga class before. Not every yoga class you will feel better in. And right after a yoga class, you might feel great. And then you'll walk out there, someone could swear, or you could trip, or you could get scared because a car passed by, and suddenly, like, all the wonderful feelings are gone like that. You know, you call someone who upsets you and they say something, and you're just like, as much as we feel we might know what is coming up and we do things to help, you know, you're doing yoga because you're wanting to feel better and you hope that it will help you with your health. And sometimes it doesn't. You know, some people will go into yoga and actually feel more pain and discomfort. And partly it's because they're maybe going inwards and paying attention to their body. But yeah, it's great. Any other one that you had on your list? Feel free to, yeah, look, and it'll be a good test to know whether you heard what I said. Kim, do you remember that? I'll give you. Okay, no worries. Okay, you probably will once I say it. And you're like, yeah, I remember that. Amber, what do you have? Yes, that was the second one. You always want more. And yeah, I almost don't want to give an example. I want you to think of an example yourself where you're like, yeah, we do get satisfied. We will have like, yeah, but how long will that last before you do want more? My son, he 19 now, and he came back and he told my partner, he's like, I'm such a demon kid. I'm so bad. And actually, in my experience, my feeling, and I talked with my wife, we didn't think he was that bad, but there were times where he was just stubborn. And like on his birthday, it's a big thing. He's going to go to school with cakes. They're all going to celebrate. He's looking forward to this. And the teacher uses this kind of like, Patrick, if you do not stand in line properly, we're going to cancel your party. Most kids would just follow along, stand in line, and be good, right? This is the good one big day you've been waiting for. He doesn't. He acts out. Well, the teacher's like, fuck, now they cancel the party. I have to, yeah. So she kind of canceled it, tells us, sorry, you have to give back the cupcakes or whatever. And he remembers that example. He says, yeah. I said, yeah, you were. But you know what? I learned, actually, because you taught me, you'd be so stubborn on these things that I would kind of like, I want nothing. So go to your room or, just sit there. I'd say like, time out. You're just going to sit there because he's going to blow up. And what I'd do, we'd just leave him, let him cool down, and we'd just wait. Eventually he'd want something. Thirsty, hungry, bored. Usually one of those three would cause him like, sorry, I want this. And then I'd be able to negotiate like, well, you know what? You need to apologize, like whatever. But yeah, that is, yeah. You can look at that. I'm sure there is something you want. All right. What else do you have? Say that again. What goes up must come down. And it was good for me to review this one. They said, look at anything that humans can accomplish. I think I'd use that example of, I just read about how, some gold medal athletes in a magazine were all like the two or three which were in the same article and same magazine were depressed after they won the gold medal. They thought they would be elated and super happy, and it was just for a short time, and they went into depression afterwards. But yeah, example, I was thinking of civilizations, countries, think of companies, things that go up do go down with time. Relationships, family ones I've seen with my family, with my wife's family, it's like relationship is like that, and then like one seemingly just small thing, and it's like breaks it, and there's no communication for a long time. One of them, between my sister and my sister-in-law, they were like that, and just if I told you like what broke them up, you just be like, really? It doesn't make sense. But yeah, they haven't been talking, and so things can definitely, I would say, partly uncertain. But your best relationships, they'll say in the Buddhist, your friends can become your enemies. Your enemies can become your friends. So that's a good one. Yeah, then yeah, which other one did you write? I know the. Yep, that's number 4. Yeah. That's it. Okay.
I've only got 5.
Okay.
Because I have this that we put once and times with children's
Mm-hmm.
something like something repeatedly.
Yeah. Yeah, these two, I almost had a hard time differentiating. They classify as two, but pretty much it is the fact, the Buddhists believe that we are reincarnated. So one of them would be that coming into this life, being born is suffering. I don't think so far in these readings, but they talk, birthing is suffering for us. But getting old is suffering for us humans. Getting sick is suffering for us humans. Having to die is suffering. So that's what we have to all endure in a lifetime as a human, right? So that would be, I said, number 5. But number 6 would be the fact that you go through this process over and over again. That if you're lucky enough to be reborn as a human, because that's considered one of the higher rebirths. The lower rebirth is being born as, do you know, Gordon or Tina, what the lower rebirths are? Yes, I kind of. Yeah. 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 There's actually demigods, and then there's gods. Yeah, that there are higher levels than humans. But the lower one of them, it's great that you mentioned, is the animals. Some people go, well, we're just chatting about our pets might have it better than us, but there are a lot of animals who are bred to be eaten, to work, in the ocean that never see light and just are in constant fear of being eaten by it. So there's a lot more animals within a lot more. Yeah. So animals, there's craving spirit supposedly, and then there's beings in hell. So those are the 3 lower ones. Okay. So we're talking about being reborn. So being reborn as a human actually is a really wonderful thing. And supposedly it is the easiest to reach Buddhahood, because if you're in the higher realms as a demigod or as a god, you're in bliss. And so you don't do any more good that takes you further on this path. In fact, once all the good karma burns out, you go to hell. So actually, they say the humans have this perfect, animals might not be able to understand the words, but as humans, we have this mix of suffering, but also of having what you'll hear, leisure and fortune, having that ability to learn the Dharma. And there are actually specific things about leisure and fortune I'll mention later on, but we have that. But what I didn't mention, which always gave me a chuckle, they say us humans, supposedly, we are, I don't know what's the term, we're fixated about 2 things. And guess what they are? Food and sex. Yeah, that is what seems to drive the human. Yeah, that's what the Buddhists say. But we have a wonderful mix, and we have to be able to learn this and to be able to apply it. So those are the 6 sufferings beyond the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional sufferings that we obviously can have. Yep, that these 6 now are as part of class 6. I'd shared it with them before because I thought it really helped me understand when life is suffering. I was telling them, I said, no, I know there is tough things, but I always would look at the cup half full. Like, if I got hurt, maybe it's telling me I need to rest. So I would see things that way. But this is saying, yeah, you can see things that way, but you're getting old, you're getting sick, you are gonna die. I can, I don't know how I can spin or see the dying is as a good thing.
I think the words they use, like suffering, leisure, fortune, don't, for me, they didn't automatically make sense in terms of how that was the trick.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So the suffering part, as I said before, in the first class, it said life is suffering. Okay, that doesn't sound very good.
Yeah.
And as you get farther into the readings and it's described more,
Mm-hmm.
then get what the point.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Well, they say these 6 sufferings. You know, on one of the classes, it says any of these points, you know, if it's considered the Dharma, is that, you know, Buddha might have said it, but other teachers have checked it to make sure that there wasn't like some contradiction. Because as I was saying, that the Buddha sometimes taught to lay people and talked to some monks. And there's some teachings which might seem contradictory, some which it wasn't meant. Here's a famous one. They're saying, oh, supposedly Buddha said, kill your father and kill your mother. I don't know if I'm paraphrasing it a little bit. And it didn't really mean that, but it meant give up your attachment to. And so, you know, when you take a quote out of the context of a teaching, it can seem like, what's that, you know? But that is where some of these points, you know, one sentence that might seem to have a meaning, but by the teachers breaking it down and looking at the context of it, they would explain in the notes what one line might mean. And this is why we're learning this, to kind of, because you could read it on its own, but it probably would, some things would seem a little obscure. So yeah, life is suffering. And so this part of, if you were to meditate on this, I'm going to check on time. I'm not sure whether we will. That was part of the plan, maybe next class to start with it. But that the teachers who wrote the commentaries and then they'd meditate on these points would get realizations. That if they didn't get realizations, then it wasn't, it's not considered the Dharma. You could say many things, but it had to be tested out. So meditating on these 6 sufferings and on, what is the other one? The 4 principles of karma is meant to eliminate the wish for future lives. You know, the previous class, the 2 meditations, one on death and one on leisure and fortune, and how rare it is that we're come into life as a human. Those 2 were meant to stop the desire for this life, right? So leisure and fortune, I don't know, did you get to read the notes about that? Yeah, there's like 10 on each, right? When I heard of leisure and fortune, I was thinking of, oh, it meant going on holiday. Fortune meant like, yeah, well, I knew it wouldn't just be money. I thought it would be like, just, you know, you'd be fortunate to be in a place with no war or something, right? But they actually have 10. And for Tina and Gordon, even Amber, I'd say it's page 125. If you note, you can flip to it. It gives you the exact like 10 or 8 descriptions of leisure and fortune. And for example, I know for one of them, it's like not being born as a animal or as a hell being or as a craving spirit. You know, there's quite a detail. So you can look at it, because I want to make sure we go over that. So yeah, in today's class, it was, this is what they say. Geshe Michael Roach was just saying that some, you know, after they have meditated on renunciation and working towards, you know, renunciation will also have a lot of meanings. And one of them would be saying, that they no longer believe that there's anything in this life that will give them lasting happiness. That there are a lot of things in this life that give us pleasure, that give us joy, temporary happiness. But lasting happiness is what Buddhahood, enlightenment is supposed to be, that we would experience this all the time. And I believe that's what the Christianity talks about heaven, that it's a place where it's milk and honey. So Buddhahood, enlightenment is promising that too. So they say, the first stage for humans, some might kind of get to a place where they're like, okay, usually as they get older, Geshe Michael Roach says, oh, when people reach their 60s or 70s, they realize maybe more that life is suffering. They see more of their family and friends pass away, get sick. They realize, career isn't maybe such a big goal anymore. I can't believe my son said to me, he goes, Dad, he just made me laugh. First it was like, what type of tattoo would you get? And I was saying, I'll probably get it, now what would you? I said, yeah, I'll probably get a Buddha if I had to. And then he goes, yeah, like you're 50, your career's over anyway. Like, okay. Thanks. Yeah, we're supposed to see everyone as Buddha. So he was just telling me what Buddha's telling me. Yeah, like career as we get older is not so important. The example was, well, if you're making an investment, you're going to see that you don't have that much time for your investment to ripen. That some will start thinking about the future life. But he was really good in saying that might happen more in Eastern culture. That he started this course by saying, there's some concepts that you share in the West might be a little bit not so common, and this belief about past lives is not what maybe in the Western world we're brought up to. But in the Eastern world, this is quite something that they believe in. So many do believe in this, and they say that many, as they get older, will start thinking about their future lives. And some, this was all a surprise to me because I said, I definitely didn't have it, but they're like, some will think that they hope in the next life they'll be a king, or have whatever they wish, a beautiful body, that they may make offerings in their later stages in hopes for that. So focusing on the 6 sufferings, that might still be a human life that you're living, he says will help those who might start planning for their future lives and hoping for the best, that will quell that desire, right? So the other meditation that's part of this class is to consider consider karma. And this, funny enough, I thought it was quite important, which is why I shared it with you too in an earlier class. So it is nice, but it could be a review, but also new for some of you. So the 4 principles of karma. Now, maybe I should maybe just review what karma is. Amber and Kim, again, if you don't, but what would you say based now on what you remember hearing, what karma is? It's a tricky one, actually. Yeah. No.
So it's not just the good deeds, but the good thoughts and the motivations in life. It's like a karma mind. So we are reborn. what you are doing in your steps.
Mhm.
And the purpose of that karma is to try and continue to achieve better karma to
Yeah, but you know, I use the example of a video game, you know, that you collect coins to points to help you achieve in a video game the next level or extra life. But yeah, karma in Buddhism, you need a lot of good karma to reach enlightenment. It's not just kind of simply like a wish or you know, you can buy a ticket. It's kind of like you need to achieve enough karma for suddenly your karma to change to see yourself as Buddha. That right now, where's your karma? Your karma is what you see, that you see yourself as Tina, Amber, Gordon, Kim, you know, that if suddenly you died and maybe this life you had enough bad karma that you're reborn as an animal, suddenly you look and you have furry hands. You know, this is what they say, that you could just, you know, the next thing you see, and then, you know, you see your snout, you know, or else suddenly you're awake in hell and people are trying to like kill you. And after you die, supposedly you revive and it happens again. It's just so what we experience supposedly is a result of our karma. Every day, right now, what you're going for. Is the guy boring or is this stuff really good? You know, what you're experiencing from right now is your karma. It's not necessarily you're like, obviously you hope it will be a good class, but what you experience will supposedly be based on your past. Does that sound kind of like Gordon and Tina, what you've heard? I know.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yes, yeah. Yes, yeah, like kind of
action, reaction.
Yeah, cause and effect, right? Cause and effect.
I'm just trying to put the two together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Maybe that is what I know. If I had to just kind of explain in 2 words, that's what I would describe it: cause and effect. That you do something and then there's an effect. So the action you take can, you know, they actually classify it as 3 different ones. That it could be a good action and what they good karma, and they'll describe that as if it produces an attractive result, one that you like. So the one example that they said, you may like it, but it might not be good for you. I don't know what example comes to mind, but I was kind of going, well, maybe it would be like eating too much dessert for me. Like I enjoy it, but it might not be good for me. But there's indifferent karma, that like you can do something which is neither good or bad. So it doesn't have, the result will be either good or bad. And then it would be something like a bad action. I'll have Tina and you, Gordon, kind of guess. Just give me an example what it is. It doesn't have to be something you do. Stealing. Perfect. Yeah. That if you stole, you know, the example that they said is, happened to me is that people steal thinking they'll get something, but actually, if they did get something, you know, money or whatever, that actually came from a past action of giving. Just say they got money, that they might think, and a lot of us do, that a bad action, lying or stealing, might lead to something good for us. But actually, if it did lead to something good, that result actually came from a past action. But that our action now of not doing something good will lead to somebody stealing from us later on. So this is one of the 4 principles of karma, and you can write down as the homework. It says karma is definite. That though some people, I won't say how many, but many will say, oh, maybe a bad action will lead to a good result. No, we say the principle of karma is a good action will lead to a good result. The same way that if you plant a lemon seed, you will get a lemon. plant, lemon tree later on, not an orange tree, right? So the only reason that, you know, you might get an orange tree is because you accidentally planted, or someone else pulled out your lemon seed and put in an orange seed, right? Not that you did that. So that is definitely one of the principles. So just coming back to the definition of karma, it is, they'll say it is cause and effect, and I think most of us know it as that. But the Buddhists will actually explain it as any movement of the mind. So any thought is supposedly a karma. And now, when you have a thought, what's addition to that definition is that which it motivates. So I don't know, maybe I gave that. So let's say that your thought can sometimes affect your speech or your action. So a karma can be any thought or something you say or something you do. And so that is the Buddhist definition of that. And it can be one of those three, you know, it can be a good action, indifferent, or a bad action. So anyway, one of the principles is karma is definite. The second principle is that karma grows. Karma grows. That the results are usually bigger than your action. So maybe a little review of, I think they say why karma, you know, though I would say more people know about karma than the other important concept, which I had shared, and I'll share in other classes about emptiness, is that they say in Buddhism, karma is actually more mysterious. They use the word hidden, is because that there is a time gap between when it blossom ripens, right? I mean, if you plant a seed now for a plant, usually look on the back of the package, it'll tell you it should germinate in 4 to 6 weeks. But you do something, you know, you help someone on the street, you give money to someone, when will that result come to you? Well, we don't know. And it could be sometime in this life, it could be sometime in your next life, it could be in lives after that. They do say there's some karmas which will give you a result immediately. One example, actually, they say one of the bad karmas is killing your father and mother. It's one of the really bad ones, and it will lead to a result in this life. But on the counterpoint, they'll say practicing the 3 principal paths. We've been talking about renunciation. The second one is bodhicitta. Remember what that one is? Wishing to reach enlightenment for all beings, not just for yourself. Yeah. And the third one is correct view, so wisdom, and it is understanding karma and emptiness. That instead practicing these 3 paths during your lifetime actually can lead to enlightenment in this lifetime. I mean, that is the one reason why like Kim was saying, putting effort and time into this, because this is where I was telling my tennis partner, he's like, why are you going on a meditation retreat? I said, you know, you saving money for your retirement. I'm trying to put time and energy into my enlightenment. I see the sufferings and I kind of go, yeah, this is what I want to put my limited time and resources to. But karma grows. And so this is what I will have you think about in your life. Is there anything that you've done early in your life that has blossomed later on in your life and have been bigger? I gave an example of mine, and if some of you hear or watch the video, you'll hear about it. I won't repeat it. But the examples that they kind of use were good ones too. Obviously, I said the seed and the tree, right? You know, a little seed, a little acorn causes a huge tree. Another one, I was like, oh, He said, think of mammals. It was the size of an elephant, even us, created from sperm and ovary, something we can barely see. You know, this is another interesting one I was actually experiencing yesterday. I was just like, oh, thought of discomfort, which might be very small, like something could tick you off. Maybe something I said already upsets you, but that they'll call that a mental affliction. Anything that disturbs the peace of mind, according to Buddhism, is a mental affliction. Can cause you a long period of discomfort. A simple thought. You can see, if you can think of an example of that, I had that and I was like, yeah. Yeah, and then you start, yeah, and then by repeating it, then you feel it in your body. It can upset your digestion. And you go, yeah. How long does it take until you go to a yoga class or find some way to get rid of it, or have someone hear you? It lasts a long time from that simple. You interpreted what someone said, or you read something that made you really upset, and that thought can grow to something which is a lot bigger. Here's another one. They said a disease in the human body could be from a little defect in our DNA. You know, like something that could be the expression of a gene. You know, many years later, we have something. Right? Okay, so that's karma grows is a second principle, and so write that part of the homework. Third and fourth are kind of, I feel like the same, but it says, if you don't do the action, you don't do the karma, you won't get the result. If you don't do the action, you don't get the result. I feel that is, you know, people might hope. Geshe Michael Roach wrote a whole book on love. You know, he had many people ask him about relationships, and you know, to summarize that book that he wrote and all the examples he wrote, it's kind of like, if you want to feel love in your relationship with family or a personal relationship, basically you need to give it. If you don't, you're not going to receive it. So all his examples in that book I didn't read because I feel I know his message is like, you got to plant the seed. So so the fourth one is, if you do the action, if you do the karma, just say you have ill thoughts about somebody you don't like, you will get the result. And this is the tough part. This is why they say having a birth as a human is rare. You know, you might kind of go, well, I haven't killed anyone. I haven't, you know, stolen a lot, or, you know, I haven't done sexual misconduct. You haven't lied. Those are the big four. There's 6 other ones. I'll kind of just tell you, don't need to know it but that other one is divisive talk, doing things, actually even they say like gossiping, but to divide people, harsh words, I think that's self-explanatory. Coveting, I think that's one of the 10 commandments not to do. There is, actually number 7 is actually busy talk. It's actually just talking for the sport, for the joy of talking. So you're not talking about anything important, but just kind of talking. Yeah, some people like to just talk. They actually say that is, you know, it has a result. And then there's coveting, and there's ill will, thinking badly of others, and wrong view, which I might say not believing, their example is not believing that karma works, that there's no past lives, are the 2 of the big ones. So anyway, you might kind of go, well, I don't really do a lot of the big ones, right? So I'm probably not doing a lot of bad karma. But they say in a day, when we do have a bad thought or we say something bad about someone, we usually have a lot of emotion with it. And it is, with anything, having the energy behind it that makes it. It's almost like you plant the seed and you fertilized it and watered it and put a sun lamp, you know, you're kind of helping grow. So whereas if you might have a good thought and you're like, oh, I'm thinking of my mom and I'm hoping how she's doing, maybe might not have as much energy as like, man, that asshole, you'll cut me off, or, you know, he did that again to my yard or to my neighbors, like, you know, like you measure the emotional energy, you know, that you place behind it. They say in a day, if you're really aware, your bad thoughts definitely outnumber your good. So, yeah.
I was also really shocked at how severe the consequences are if your student is
Mm-hmm.
whoa.
Yeah,
I was like,
I was,
what person?
yes, I know it is, yeah. And so one of the classes is the qualities of a teacher. And now, I mean, officially I am a teacher, but they say to be kind of the teacher student, you actually have to formally ask, can you be my teacher? And so I didn't do that when I did these first 18 courses, but now I'm moving to the tantric teachings, and there I needed to formally ask my teacher. And you're right, that is supposedly is something you have to be, you know, be aware of, because yeah, it's what they say, it's a higher object besides having the emotion behind it. It's like if you did a good deed, you know, if you gave food to a dog instead of a human, there's more karma points with the human. You gave it to your friend instead of your mother and father, the gift you gave to your mother and father is a higher gift. Maybe you give money to charity or to the Buddhist temple, because if that temple has somebody who's working towards enlightenment, that will have bigger karma. Right? So there's certain factors that boost the karma. So anyway, this one is if you've done the action, you will get the result. Though, luckily in Buddhism, they say there's a way to purify it, to kind of nullify it. And it's not part of the homework, but I'll tell you, it's four kind of simple steps. Like, just say you did think ill of somebody today. You would kind of go, the first step is just to remember karma and emptiness, just to recognize, remember that, okay, I have this thought, I put out this karma. It's going to come back to me. Just remember cause and effect. Second is having regret. Just knowing that this act might cause you to feel the same, maybe expanded later on. The third one is restraint. It's kind of like to have you then kind of mentally go, okay, I'm going to promise not to do this. And it could be for as short as half an hour. You know, if it's a habit of yours to do a certain, whatever it is, you kind of set something longer. But if it was, you know I had this thought, what was it? I've been aware that sometimes, yeah, when I feel hurt, I do have this kind of like, I might not say anything or do anything, but in my mind, I'm like, and I noticed that and I was like, okay, for the next day when I'm upset, I will, you know, try to stop my mind from playing out. I hope this will happen to them. I can do that now for a day because I feel like I've been working on that habit. You know, otherwise it would have been 2 hours earlier on in my, yeah. So, and this third one is kind of setting, exact, you know the word, but setting for yourself when you will not do it again. Kind of, yeah. So you should set one that you can keep, right? You kind of don't want to. And the fourth one is doing something as an antidote, doing some good. That they will say the highest good you can do is just meditating on emptiness. maybe I'll explain it next class, but just recognizing, for example, this person I felt hurt me, that in this example, to meditate on emptiness would be recognizing that the hurt I felt didn't come from this person. It came from my past karma. It was something I did in the past, and now I'm getting the fruit of it. And that person could have said something like, "Oh, you look more mature with your haircut." I might interpret that like, "Oh, you can look old," or something. That's can't think of one right off the bat. But yeah, that if I didn't feel good about it, it could have been like from the nicest intention. It could have been a joke, but I took it as like, "Oh, that hurt." So yeah, those are the 4 steps to purify bad karma. You probably don't want to purify good karma, but if you've done something, then okay. So that is it. So meditating on how karma works, or the 6 sufferings, is supposed to help you not have a desire for a future life as a human. That instead you're kind of going, I would like to not have any more rebirths as a human. I'd like to finish this. I've had enough. Supposedly you've been reborn so many times. I said, if you stack your bodies up, it's higher than the biggest mountain. That's they say we have been each other's mothers. Everyone has been our mothers, because we've been reborn so many times as humans. Or I mean, they will include this as animals too, that we have that you can see everyone as equals because we have all been reborn so many times. All right. So those are the 2 of the homework questions. I think there's just one more I want to make sure, and it was asking, how do you know when you have renunciation? Because I guess the Buddhist short form definition of renunciation is disgust for this life. That's what it will be, if you had to shorten it. And it was saying that I'll read it just so I make sure I don't misquote it. It says, when your mind aspires to freedom all day and night. When your mind aspires to freedom all day and night. I heard this many classes, but I remember specifically there was one class. It was probably not the first course or second course, but it was maybe my 3rd or 4th course. And I was sitting in your area there, and the teacher said this, and because we didn't start from course 1, we started learning from course 6 and 7, and then kind of she randomly picked. And then I'd heard this enough, and but they say, you can hear this and maybe you'll go, it makes sense. But supposed renunciation would be something that you internally feel. It is like with all things, you can hear something, go, yeah, I know that. But you really know it when you really feel it, and you act on it. And I'll say the example is, I'm sure if you believe cleaning your teeth is important, you brush your teeth every day. My mom brushes after every meal because she's had some gum disease, and now she's like, I know I have to, when you believe in it so much that it forces, like, it doesn't force you, but it guides you to your choices. I could have been doing something else this morning, and I was like, I want to read this again. I wanted to read this book about it and it's quite amazing because I really did feel a lot of, what is the word? When you don't want to do something, when you have resistance. I don't know whether good example, my kids have resistance to eating vegetables. They know it's good, but they don't, right? And it was funny how I had resistance to coming to these classes when I first started. It was Friday at 2:00. It wasn't a bad time, but I always kind of come in like, oh, I'm kind of like, it's my day off. But I knew it was good for me. And then I also heard that the teacher was saying, you know, don't be afraid. Don't like expect that when you're learning this, that it takes a lot of good karma to come to these classes. That they are not supposedly you must have done something good to have the interest, and then not just having the interest to actually get yourself to this. Because as I told you, there's a zillion things you could be doing right now. You could be on your screen enjoying a gazillion things. There's a gazillion things out in the world that you can be doing today, any day. So why do you have to do this? Learn about this. But it kind of at a certain point, I was like, yeah, maybe the repetition about hearing that life is suffering just kind of sank in, and I was more aware of as much as I saw the glass half full, it is half empty too. And yeah, it suddenly was like, yeah, I know I will resist coming to class, but I'm going to come anyway until she stopped teaching. And then by that time, I got used to enjoying hearing this, and I was telling Kim, and I just continued doing the classes myself. I'd listen to the recording and then just do the homework, because it helped me remember when I was suffering. I was purifying my bad karma, and that if I did the same, like, you know, I could get yelled at from my wife or my son, and that if I yelled back, I was gonna just keep repeating this cycle that I was wanting to escape, you know, as a big example. It just bringing awareness to habits that I know was causing me pain, that I understood. And so, yeah, this is what one of the last questions on the homework is: how do you know when you aspire for freedom all day and night? And it says when you're not attached to the 8 worldly thoughts, which was in the last class. So if you watch that video, you'll hear what those 8 worldly thoughts are. And if I have time, I'll repeat it next week. But I want to honor your time and just end class here. Take questions after if you want to stay, but there is a class at 4 or 5, so we have to kind of give space for the next teacher. All right. So to end class, we usually share the prostration again, and then read out the dedication of the goodness. So it's on the next page after refuge and the wish. I don't think it has a page number. It was, yeah. Oh, yes, on the back flap of the binder, right? That usually is. Yeah. Yeah. You see that one? Yeah. Oh, maybe, oh, there it is. It's on the back of the binder completely. Yes. Is it on the back of yours too? Okay. So we'll do the 3 prostrations. So maybe you can stand up. You can even just do a bow, but it is nice way to kind of move a little bit after you've been sitting a while. And think of, maybe I'll have you think of teachers in your life that have, with a thought, with their teaching, might have changed what you believed, and how that belief, maybe to this day, still guides how you live. So think of any teacher, and it could be a teaching in a book you read. It doesn't have to be a physical teacher who said something or taught you something. But let us give thanks to our teachers, body, speech, and mind. You can do 3 prostrations now, or you just do 3 bows. After you finish your 3, we'll read out the dedication. The intention is to, dedicate the good karma from coming to this class towards your enlightenment. Right? So that's what it is. So we read it aloud together, or you can just read it. By the goodness, what I have just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. Okay, bring my hands into prayer. Namaste really is Sanskrit. This is where actually Buddhism started in India, written in Sanskrit before it got translated in or brought into Tibet. So namaste, the spirit in me, saluting the spirit in you. And so we have, this is class 6, right? So I had asked, I think Kim and the other people online who some are just watching the videos, they haven't been able to make it. And I think I'm just going to keep the class at 3 to 4:15. For the next, we have 4 more classes, right? Because this is class 6. Yeah. So we have 4 more, and it's the next Saturdays, but June 21st, I'm off to retreat. So that one, there won't be one. That's a good class. Some of you could catch up on some of the earlier, though I'd say, yeah, maybe watch the first one when I send you the link for because the first class kind of gives you a little bit more of the overview of the binder. And I'm going to just stop the video so they don't have to. But this one is recorded too.